High roll?
High roll.
Welcome to another offline video. For this video, we'll be watching the high-stakes Grand Finals this past October 5. The tournament featured over 40 plus players, with both finalists having played 7 games earlier that day to get here. On the left, we have Beefsteak on Yennefer, a ranged fighter from the Witcher Realms Fall set with an absurd amount of discard effects and a lot of boosting. On the right, we have Drew on Eredin, a melee bruiser also from the Witcher Realms Fall set, who starts off with 4 melee sidekicks and then enrages when they're all gone. Eredin starts and sends off some riders to pin Yennefer. She needs to break out of this spin or else Eredin might spam foul purposes. Triss attacks one of the red riders pinning Yennefer with a Marigold's Hailstorm, one of the strongest cards in Yennefer's deck either for its effect or for its boost value. Eredin chooses to discard 2, discarding Unyielding Hordes and close for the kill. Discarding close for the kill hurts since it's the main boost fodder for Enraged Implacable later on. Notably, in his first phase, Eredin has no feint, so there was no risk of having the Marigold's Hailstorm getting cancelled. Eredin takes his turn maneuvering first action. There's actually an opportunity for Eredin to pin Yennefer again here with a double maneuver. Instead, the Red Rider attacks with a foul purpose into a quick and ready. Yennefer takes 1 damage and Eredin defeats the attacking Red Rider to return foul purpose to his hand. 2 Red Riders to go before enraging. As of this moment, the game is still relatively even. Yennefer maneuvers, then boosts using an advisor to the king to send Triss off to the same yellow zone as Eredin. One of the most annoying parts about playing against Yennefer is that you don't know if Triss is attacking with a Hailstorm or a Portal. If you take Portal, you feel great. If you take Hailstorm, it feels bad. Eredin guesses correctly, fully defending against Marigold's Hailstorm. Despite this, he chooses to take 3 damage from Hailstorm's effect. There is no more Hailstorms. This means that on one hand, Triss will be body blocking and using portals for the rest of the game. On the other hand, it means that Beefsteak is pretty happy about getting full value out of Triss this early on. A Red Rider attacks with foul purpose, which we already know Eredin has in his hand. Eredin decides to discard the backhand just to get foul purpose back and move 1 step closer to enraging. He removes the attacking Red Rider instead of the one next to Eredin. This makes sure portal defense is still a possible defense should Yennefer decide to maneuver boost in and attack this turn. Yennefer double maneuvers instead, ending on top of the tower. From her and Triss's position, they have total coverage over the entire map. If you didn't know, Marmorial is a very range-favored map. Playing around the purple and white zones can sort of force adjacency, but not to the extent of many other maps. Eredin steps up, forcing Yennefer to end adjacent to him if she wants to attack. However, Triss can still go to the tri-zone next to her to attack if she wanted. Yennefer steps back as both players just double maneuver around and build up their hands again. Having went first and having more cards in the discard pile means that Eredin has initiative. He has to make something happen. Eredin maneuver boosts with Unyielding Hordes. Then, Eredin goes to the purple zone and sort of forces adjacency, although Yennefer only needs a boost 2 if she wants to attack away from him. The Red Rider attacks Triss with a foul purpose, which Triss defends with a quick and ready, taking 1 and drawing 1. As the last Red Rider is defeated, Eredin enters the enraged phase. He is now moved 3 and has +1 to his cards both on attack and defense. Eredin still hasn't used any of his implacables, which is great for him. And while he has discarded one of his boost 4s, he still has other cards to boost with. Triss attacks and Eredin thinks about what to defend with. Eredin decides to take and guesses correctly, saving a defense card that would have been wasted. This with him knowing that there are no more Hailstorms left. He ends up being teleported to the other tower. Now in range, Yennefer attacks with an Echoing Blast into a 5-value defensive skirmish and decides not to boost. The skirmish effect forces Yennefer to move past her body blocking Triss. However, they still have one more action, which Beefsteak uses to maneuver back into defensive positions. Eredin maneuvers to Triss and decides to wail on her. He attacks with a 5-value backhand into a telepathy. He decides not to discard, which means that Triss still takes 2 but no random discard happens. Yennefer and Triss move away from Eredin with a double maneuver. With where she is positioned, Eredin needs a boost 2 to reach Yennefer. Boosting is effectively a discard on the opponent. If Yennefer can force Eredin to boost repeatedly in this match, this compounds with her discard effects to remove more and more value from Eredin's deck. Eredin decides to bypass this whole conundrum and just attacks with a foul purpose on Triss. Foul purpose is an essential part of the little value or fatigue game plan of Eredin. You can see Beefsteak decide what to defend with for a while there before settling on Ball Lightning. Triss takes 1 damage, meaning that Eredin wins the combat. Both fighters discard 1 card. Eredin discards Foul Purpose while Yennefer discards Lodge of Sorceresses. Yennefer and Triss double maneuver around. They begin approaching Eredin, positioning very aggressively. Interestingly, both end up in range of a single maneuver from Eredin. I wonder if it's worth baiting Eredin like this. However, Eredin decides not to go for Yennefer and goes to Triss instead. Eredin attacks with a brutal strike into a Ball Lightning. The +1 takes Brutal Strike from a 2 to a 3, meaning he still loses the combat. He discards an Unyielding Hordes, which isn't too bad to lose. Ideally, you'd really want to win the combat against Ball Lightning so that Yennefer discards something too. Yennefer steps in range of Eredin. Yennefer attacks with an Incinerate into a 4 value Wild Hunt. No one is adjacent to Eredin, meaning Wild Hunt loses most of its value. Additionally, while Yennefer chooses not to boost, Eredin also chooses not to discard, meaning he takes 3 damage. Eredin maneuvers to the purple space he's been camping in for a while. Triss steps up to Eredin and attacks with a Portal to Anywhere into a Wild Hunt. Wild Hunt activates, dealing the final 2 damage needed to take out Triss. Eredin is sent up to the towers for the second time, where Yennefer attacks with an Echoing Blast into an Implacable. I'm sure Eredin has nothing better to defend with, because defending with an Implacable, no matter what the situation, feels horrible. Yennefer boosts with an Advisor to the King, which happens in the immediately face. Despite this, Eredin decides not to boost during combat, meaning Echoing Blast goes back to Yennefer's hand. Despite defending with the strongest attack, Eredin still takes 1. Eredin goes to the single pink zone again, trying to sort of force adjacency. However, it's not very effective anymore, especially with no Red Riders. Yennefer maneuver boosts with Lodge of Sorceresses and attacks. She plays an Echoing Blast into Eredin's 5 value skirmish. Yennefer boosts with the Magical Barrier, and importantly stops skirmishes after combat effects so that Eredin can't double attack Yennefer. Eredin maneuvers, then plays a Might of the Ain-El. With no Triss and no Hailstorm, I don't think Yennefer has any non-combat damage left in her kit. So, Eredin's mainly playing this to cycle through his deck. Yennefer needs to defend this correctly, as Eredin still has 2 potential 8 value attacks in his back pocket. For his final action, he attacks again and lands a Brutal Strike into a Telepathy, a much needed winning combat interaction for Eredin at this point. Yennefer double maneuvers away, looking for better cards and moving to the visual center of the board. Eredin gives chase, boosting with a Portal defense. Eredin attacks with an offensive Implacable into a Paralyzing Fetters, an absolutely devastating interaction for Eredin at this point in the game. He ends up dealing only 1 damage to Yennefer. For her first action, Yennefer attacks Eredin. It ends up being a Ball Lightning into a Wild Hunt. Yennefer boosts with the Magical Barrier, turning Ball Lightning into a 6 value attack and forcing Eredin alone to discard. He discards a Close for the kill, which he probably wanted to use with Implacable earlier on. Speaking of Implacable, Eredin defends with his last copy and last card in hand into an Echoing Blast. Yennefer deliberates boosting with her last card and decides to go for it as they give up their Paralyzing Fetters. So, Yennefer only has Echoing Blast while Eredin has nothing at all. No matter what Eredin draws here, he can't attack Yennefer since nothing can deal 7 damage in one go, so Yennefer knows she's safe. If he tries, he's left with 0 cards and Yennefer double attacks with Echoing. Knowing this, Eredin maneuvers and uses a Close for the kill that he just drew. Yennefer steps away and attacks with an Incinerate into a 3 value Icy Guile. Drew cannot discard 2 cards as he only has 1 card left in hand. With this, the champion of high stakes is Beefsteak.